My name is Karen Brochu. My job title is Town Accountant, Finance Director. Well, when I started in 1984, I was in the Treasurer's office, and I served in the capacity of at first I was like an accounts payable clerk, and then I switched over to assistant treasurer, and from there I applied for the job that I currently hold now, which at the time was only town accountant, in 1992. And I got the job at that time. And it just recently, over the last probably 3 years, was changed so that I serve in the capacity of both the town accountant and the finance director. It's a challenging role trying to handle all of the responsibilities that I have at the same time, but I've been doing it for so long that, it's still a challenge to meet the goals that I have to meet and that sort of thing, but overall, because I've been at the job for so long, it runs pretty smoothly. So my main job is to both assist the manager in putting together the annual operating budget for the departments, as well as tracking it throughout the year, and then at the end of the year, working on all of the closing of that year and submitting all the reports that are required to the different agencies, such as like the Department of Revenue and that sort of thing. Like right now, I'm in the middle of trying to get all of the revenues and expenditures posted for FY19 and to get everything closed so that we can get the balance sheet submitted to the Department of Revenue and get our free cash certified, which will then be used when we set the 2021 budget. So now my primary responsibility is to get the year closed and take care of all those reports. But then, once we roll into like November or December, it'll be more working on the upcoming year's budget and preparing for the town meeting in May. So working with the town manager to come up with the budget for 2021, and then going through that process and having the town meeting and posting the new budget and doing all of that. So it varies depending on the time of year, but as they say, never a dull moment. Well, I love to, we actually have a place down the Cape in a trailer park. It's just a mobile home, but I love to go down there, and I love to just relax and unwind, go to the beach, go to craft stores, do a little shopping, that sort of thing. So,
my name is Heather Lemieux. I'm the town manager of the town of Lunenburg. The town manager is responsible for is the chief administrative officer and chief financial officer for the town. And the town manager is hired by the chief elected board, which is the Board of Selectmen. And that position reports to the Board of Selectmen. And the town manager oversees day-to-day operations of all the town departments and creates the budget for the town, which the town operates from. I provide input to the board on various topics, my recommendations. Obviously, it's their decision on matters, but I provide my recommendations. I give reports on a variety of projects and ongoing items that we're dealing with, different things that departments are doing that make town government function. I have frequent contact with all of our departments. They report to me as far as being the chief administrative officer, and essentially making government run as efficiently and effectively as possible. My typical day there is no typical day, really. I have a variety of meetings usually, whether it's with staff or members of the public or a regional agency. I go to different board and committee meetings. Answering emails is a large part in today's world. It's how we correspond and communicate. So I typically get, say, 100 emails a day. So it's replying to different people that way, and working on ongoing projects. So it's preparing for the next Board of Selectmen's meeting or making sure we're on task with different projects. Right now, we have a lot of things going on, so it kind of forced to stay in the office to get things done. But I would like to be out in the community more and am as much as possible. The biggest challenge that a town manager faces is creating a balanced budget and balancing the needs of all our departments in the school, and because there's competing needs, but there's limited resources. So that's always a challenge. I work with an amazing staff. I would really like people in Lunenburg to know that we are so fortunate to have the staff that we do that work here. They're really dedicated and go above and beyond in all respects. But I also I'm fortunate to interact with a lot of residents and board and committee volunteer members. So I find that rewarding as well. Hopefully I've gained people's confidence that I put a lot of time and effort into the creation of the budget, meeting with the different departments, the school, making sure that everyone's needs are being met, at least minimally, and if there's needs that we can't plan for in that current fiscal year, how we can plan for those in the future, and putting together that plan and how we're going to achieve it. Free time is pretty limited with this job. I'm here at least 2 nights a week usually for meetings, and so they're longer days. But when I do have time, I spend it with my family. I have 2 kids, a 9-year-old and a 14-year-old, and I'm married, my husband. So I spend as much time with them as I can, and enjoy their youth and all the things that they're involved in, whether it be soccer or, But besides that, I like to go bike riding there, or we do clamming and cohogging and just, things like that. Cohogging is clamming, and some people call it, clams are soft shell clams, quahogs are hard shell clams. So you clam on shore, in the dirt, basically, at a beach. Quahogging, you go into the water to get the clams.
Hi, everybody. We're here to talk about the assessor's office. My name is Sheila Cragen. I have been here for 12 years. I'm a part-time employee. And this is Joshua Gendron. I'll let Josh.
Hello, I'm Josh Gendron, as Sheila just mentioned. I've been with the assessor's office for 2 years in February. The assessors handle valuation of properties. We also do tax exemptions, chapter land valuations, and
Motor vehicle excise. We process abatements for people. Exemptions, as you said, elderly exemptions, exemptions for veterans with disability, chapter land, I think you covered. There are some tax exempt properties. They just need to do a filing with our office every year. Personal property, small businesses, they start with the clerk's office, but we do have accounts set up in our office.
yes, we handle the valuation side, so any changes in your value would come from the assessor's office. We do an annual study on ratios to help us determine where values should be and make adjustments accordingly. We also handle income and expense information, which is for businesses. It lets us know what their income is.
Mostly my job. Josh does evaluations, property inspections. I do mostly maintenance. We have a system that we work on. We keep track of permits, that sort of thing. We also have a physical file for each property We have a little closet in the back of our office, and that's where all our filing is, keep all of our paperwork. That's kind of a lot of busy work, but necessary work. We process deeds, so we keep up with the ownership of all the properties.
Also, from time to time, you may see a representative in town. We handle building permits. The state does require that we do physical inspections of every property in town at least one time every 10 years. So if you see somebody out and about, we'd have assessor's office signs on both sides of the door, as well as an identification badge. Usually they'll have a letter of introduction too. But we would always recommend anybody that's not comfortable, give the office a call so we can verify any information that you'd like.
For the most part, our office is open Mondays and Wednesdays, 8 to 4, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8 to 6. Our email, my email, scragen@lunenburgonline.com. Phone number 978-582-4145. The most that people contact us, I would say motor vehicle abatements, the procedures. We do get a lot of elderly people that come to our window trying to get help, to help pay for their real estate tax bills, and we do offer exemptions for that, so we can always talk about that.
We get calls from time to time too, also asking about just general information regarding property records, like bedroom counts, bathroom counts, square footage, lot sizes, things like that.
And that one time of the year, the real estate tax bills go out just after Christmas, so there's one time of the year where people can file for an abatement.
Yes.
And that's typically January 1st to February 1st, so we get a lot of calls for that.
So you have 30 days, upon receiving your third quarter tax bill, you have 30 days to file for a real estate tax abatement with the assessors. Also, my availability, I'm in the office here in Lunenburg on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. My email address is jgendron@rrgsystems.com.
What I like about my job, I actually have a corporate background, which was pretty tough, pretty demanding. I love working in the community. I love working with the people in town. We get a lot of positive feedback, I would say. When I first applied for the job, thinking of working in a tax office was frightening. But it's been good. I really like it. I do enjoy it.
I would agree. I very much enjoy working with the public. I invite people anytime to come in or give a call. Any questions or concerns, I'm happy to try and assist in any way I can. That may be through an inspection or just simply a conversation over the phone or at the counter. We're very, very warm and open to the public, and we're here to help. That's the important thing. We're here to help. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kathy Herrick. I'm Lunenburg's town clerk, and I've had the pleasure of being your town clerk for 30 years and counting. They want me to tell you a little bit about what we do here. Well, number one, we keep the records of the town, dating back to its inception in 1726. What we do, everything that happens in town generally flows through this office. We do the vital records, we keep track of the meetings, the minutes of those meetings, we do an annual census, and we just are in the process of doing the federal census, or at least answering questions about that. We are responsible for elections, census, and a host of other things that aren't coming to mind right now, but the vitals, I mentioned vitals, those are birth, death, and marriage. So if you file here or die here, the record will be here. And if you die elsewhere, but you're a resident of Lunenburg, that record will be here as well. We process dog licenses. We have approximately 2,400 dogs in town, and many of them need to be licensed. Yes, as part of the election process, we swear those newly elected officers in, as well as appointed officials. We swear them in. That's a requirement to serve. The vital records are really difficult at times. You know, that's every birth, every adoption. You know, we have to do that record. I'm in the process of doing one now. The state has. I'm waiting for them to call me back because something went wrong with it, and I have to correct that record. And those things take time, and it's all done through the state. But everything we do here gets filed with the state. I forgot to mention that. We keep a record here. And something else that's happened over the last few years is the hospitals and funeral directors are all doing these death records and birth records online. So I still maintain a card file because it's much easier when somebody is looking for an older record or even newer ones. It's much easier to just go to the card file and check to see if we have the record and then go search for it. But most places won't do that anymore. I'm a little old school. We had the system set up. It was probably the best one in the state, and I've maintained it. And the next person may not want to, but it's good. I know people say that, I know you like your paper and pencil, but nobody's ever hacked my paper.
My name is Muir Hammond. I'm the director at the Lunenburg Public Library. I've been directing just over 3 months, started at the beginning of April, and I've been working here at the library since the May before that. Yeah, so Andrew Forsthoffel was here in Lunenburg June 30th. He gave a talk. We had it up at the auditorium, a beautiful facility next door to the library. And he has a best-selling book that he wrote about the cross-country walk he took in 2011. He had just graduated from Middlebury College, which is one of those connections. I have a degree from Middlebury College as well, and so some of those serendipitous connections that happen when you're doing things like organizing cultural events. You find all sorts of connections between people. So he walked across the country as soon as months after he'd graduated from college, on this search for an understanding of what it means to be a man, to come of age, and in response a little bit to his sense that our culture lacks coming-of-age rituals. So he went on this walk from Philadelphia and ended up at the Pacific Ocean. I think at some point I'd come across his book and seen it, and it's a compelling cover, picture of him with his hands raised and his backpack on as he's embarking on this journey, and was interested from the beginning, and eventually realized that he lived in Western Massachusetts at the time, and still does, and began to investigate the possibility of bringing him here to Lunenburg. It was really one of the first major programs that I'd conceived of and started to work on once I started work here. And he was, as advertised, incredibly inspiring, just a fantastic storyteller, full of thoughtful, well-constructed, informative answers, really engaging, really all about making those connections too. being here, present in the moment, and connecting to the people that are present with him. So it was fantastic. Hopefully it's an example of things we can keep doing here in Lunenburg. Really, one of my main goals is to continue to weave a fabric of connection between the neighbors here in our community. So I'm responsible for day-to-day operations of the library. We have a board of trustees who meet regularly and work on policy and setting up the kind of framework for the library to operate within, and then it's my job to kind of coordinate and direct how day-to-day operations happen. So I do talk with the librarians, direct them, really galvanize the team and keep everyone on point. I have been scheduling, certainly. One of the great pleasures of my previous position was working on programming, as we've talked about, and so I've kind of continued to do that in the first few months, and I'll step back a little bit from that, although I'll still have fingers in the pot, and be able to work with the team on that. So managing budget. All sorts of behind the scenes, not as exciting things as programming and books, but I also select the books for the adult collection, fiction, nonfiction, videos. So all of the librarian pieces, I'm connected with that. Directors are from a previous era, the term head librarian kind of is still sticks around, and I think that description really fits with what I do. We have 9 employees. 2 of them are high school pages who work about 8 hours a week, mostly in the evenings, and the rest are adult librarians essentially. 1 director, 5 staff librarians, and then 2 library assistants. An eclectic group of people who all care very deeply about what we do at the library. They are really passionate about helping people find the information they're looking for, whether that's reading a good story, watching a good movie, a research project on pets, all sorts of things. Every day is different at the library. You never see the same people every day, and each individual who comes in has different needs and is after something slightly different. So part of the fun. We really have kind of 3 areas in the library separated by age, and we have librarians who are responsible for kind of delivering the services to those age groups, and understandably there's some specialization that happens there. As director, I don't have a lot to do with the organizing of teen and children's events, but I do work with the 2 people who each have one of those responsibilities. The VR program is another great example of our teen librarian delivering fairly cutting-edge experiences for the teens in our community. She also took the point on the renovation of the teen space over the past year or more. Got some new furniture in there. We're going to be installing some new computers in there and in the adult area that will hopefully help our patrons, our users, have a good experience here at the library. The teens have loved the new furniture. There's a table in there with a whiteboard where they can kind of draw as they sit and hang out, or it's long enough that there are a couple Dungeons and Dragons, D&D groups that meet and play their games a couple nights a week at the library. New bookshelves for the books. So she has really taken those teen services to another level, especially recently. But she's been here for a couple of years, and she's been a great addition to the team. this past year, basically, we had 70,000 visitors. So it's a couple hundred a day. Probably on a busy day, it's over 1,000. And it can be over, on the busiest days, it certainly can be that high. But, so a couple hundred. Ebbs and flows day to day. Wednesdays during the day can be quiet, but we often have our programs in the evening, so each day is different. Yeah, well, these days I have a 10-month-old daughter, so all of the day, really, in the back of my head at least, I'm thinking about getting home to her and spending more time with her and my wife. It's been a transformative experience, as most parents say. Their children transform them, and certainly that's been true for me, and something I look forward to at the end of the day. Seeing her smiling face makes me smile no matter what I'm feeling, and most days at the library it's really easy to leave with a smile. Great people working here, great people who come in, but sometimes it's just a tiring day, and in those cases seeing Ren is rejuvenating. So I truly look forward to that. I keep chickens at home. I keep a dog, some cats, gardens, and I really love to cook. And so those are things that fill my evenings regularly, taking care of all of those responsibilities at home. I was a literature student, so I like, one of the things that I studied was Middle English literature. So Edmund Spenser's The Faerie Queene was something that I always enjoyed. It's kind of Renaissance era poet about this ephemeral fairyland, and it sounds kind of funny, but I think part of the reason I like that is that experiences in life are ephemeral, and so this parallel alternative world of fairies is a great analog to life experiences. And in general, poetry really speaks to me because of the emphasis on sound, and so sound, rhythm. There's a music to language that we can hear and listen to if we're open to it, and so poetry is an opportunity for that. Yeah. Well, part of the power of story is that it's every time we read a story, every time we think about it, tell a story, we're exercising our empathetic muscles in our brains, and empathetic connection is key to being human. Being able to see someone who maybe looks slightly different or really different from you, and recognize that they're not really all that different. Favorite movie? I like Star Wars. I've always liked Star Wars. Another science fiction film, The Fifth Element, Bruce Willis, Mia Jovovich is another favorite of mine. The director's cut of Blade Runner, if you can get through it, it's another. Science fiction, I think, is very similar to that Fairyland thing. It's different enough, but still recognizable as connected to the lives we lead.
Well, I work for the land use director and the planning board. The planning board plans the development of the town, and I do a lot of different things. I prepare the agendas for the planning board meetings, and I make sure that the board members have everything they need for their meetings. After the meetings, I will type up the minutes so they have a written record of what has taken place. The planning department also takes in site plan approvals and special permits. When the application comes in, I sit down with the application and the plans, and I go over it to make sure that everything was submitted that is required under Mass General Law. Once I've ensured that the application is complete, there are requirements that have to be met. Public hearings have to be held. Abutters need to be notified. There need to be notices in the newspaper, so I get all those initiated. After the board holds their hearing and they decide whether they're going to approve or disapprove the application, either the land use director or I prepare a decision for the board to sign. I maintain the filing system. I monitor the budget for the office. I work with the public a lot because as you can see where this office is situated, I'm right by the main entrance of the Ritter. So when somebody comes in and they have no idea where they need to go, or they don't know who should handle their issue, they look in and they see my smiling face, and they come in and I assist them as best I can. I will either help them with their questions or send them off to the appropriate department, and I really enjoy working with the public. Adam has been here about 4.5 years, and we work very well together. He's much younger than I am. So, and I don't think I ever told him when he first started here. I mean, he could be my son. And there were some times that I wanted to talk to him like he was a son, and I realized I can't do that. He is my supervisor, but we work more as peers, and we work together. We have a very good working relationship. And I also enjoy all the people in the building that I work with. It's a very good atmosphere in here. It's very kind of like a family-oriented atmosphere. I feel we all look out for one another. When Adam came, he gave me more free rein to take on things that I hadn't done previously. But I like the challenges. I look forward to them. I like to be challenged. Otherwise, I think it would be boring. And he has a vast knowledge. And usually, if I run into a stumbling block, he can usually answer my question for me. I have been a hospice volunteer for around 20 years. And I don't know how much you know about that, but I go into the homes and of people that are dying and, provide care to the person that's dying and also support the family. So I've been doing that for around 20 years. I'm also a Reiki practitioner, and I'm able to utilize that with my hospice patients, which I find very rewarding. I first took Reiki to benefit myself with my hospice, but then I realized it can benefit the patients too. And I also am a member of the United Parish of Lunenburg, right across the street from us. I've been a member there probably for around 25 years, and I'm very active in the church, and I sing in the church choir also. So I'm very busy when I'm not here.
All right. My name is Adam Burney. I'm the land use director here in Lunenburg. I work with the planning board to carry out the day-to-day work that they do, accepting and reviewing applications, coordinating reviews, communicating with residents, developers, lawyers, engineers, people who want to potentially do developments here in town, working with the board to write and rewrite and update rules, regulations, zoning bylaws. I work with the Board of Selectmen to do all manner of things, coordinating with and dealing with land use and things that they do. I work with the building inspector, the conservation administrator, and the Conservation Commission and the Zoning Board on the things they're doing, and overseeing the administrative functions of their office, working on budgeting and those sorts of items. One of the big challenges we have here in Lunenburg is our zoning bylaws. For a long time were reactionary, and something happened, so we created a bylaw that either regulated or prohibited or shaped how that was done. And over time, they didn't always necessarily connect or reference each other. Over the past 5 years, we've been working to rectify some of that, bring some of our bylaws into contemporary standards. And the other thing is, Lunenburg is a community that's changed a lot over the last 10 years. There's a lot of population growth. With that population growth comes stressors on public safety, on school population, but also the tax rate becomes something that people get concerned about. A way to balance that is commercial development, but there's a lot of character and history and rural feel to Lunenburg, and people worry about how commercial development will and may impact that. And so one of the things we struggle with across the board is whether or not to expand commercial land or whether or not to leave it as it is, and what the impacts of that are on a larger scale. I think that the planning board has worked hard over the 5 years that I've been here to update the zoning bylaws, and this can be something that people get concerned about and people find challenging because things that they've always just accepted are true change, but I think in the long run these changes are something that will be positive to the community. They create a more standardized and uniform definition of uses. They allocate them in ways that the board has been thoughtful about to hopefully address some of what people have said over the years. So I think that's one of the big positive changes that we've seen. And I think that we're seeing a shift now, and there's more people trying to be involved in town government, which I think is always positive. I think the more voices, the more genuine a solution that you get.
My name's Matt Morrow, and I work for the Conservation Commission. My office is located over in the Ritter Building. My job at the Conservation Commission is I'm their administrator. So I take care of all the day-to-day office routines, phone calls, site inspections, paperwork, budget, attendance at, inter-staff meetings, attendance at regular meetings. I'm their environmental and office professional. I do all the office work, take the minutes, do the agendas, do all the vouchers for, paying bills, keeping an eye on the commission's budget, working with the town to formulate a budget for the following year that will cover the needs of the commission to do its job properly. I set up their public hearings. I make sure that all their minutes that they do approve are posted. I issue their permits for them. I work with the building department and check on, their permits with them. Environmental professional-wise, I go out and I check sites. I confirm wetland demarcations to make sure that they're accurate and that the plans that are presented to the commission are accurate to the degree that meets the minimum. The commission always tends to make changes in some of the more complex plans, but that's always as a result of a hearing. Also, I deal with other departments, state environmental departments, Federal Army Corps of Engineers, USGS. That's what an environmental professional does, or at least that's the Reader's Digest version. Love my job. Absolutely love it. I love the job. I love the people I work with. I love the people in town. I have 4 children. 4 children. Yes, I have 4 children. I have 2 girls, 2 adorable girls. Sarah, who's 28. She's a case manager for Luck. She has a beautiful son, Braden, my grandson. I call him Mr. Magoo as a nickname, because when he was born, everybody said he looked like Mr. Magoo, and it just kind of stuck. Then I have my 23-year-old daughter, Amanda. She is a social worker for DCF. She loves her job. She loves helping families. And I have 2 teenage boys. My son, Jeremy, who works landscape, and my son, Jacob, who is going on 16. Wow, he's going on 16. Jacob, you're going on 16. And he actually is in school. He works, well, he doesn't work, but he is studying culinary arts at the Leominster Trade School. I'm a voracious reader. I used to be a musician. Well, I am a musician. I used to play in bands, I should say. I don't do that anymore. Maybe someday when I retire, I'll go back to it, because it was always fun. I started learning how to play the guitar when I was 6 years old. I have quite the collection at home. Other than that, I usually just hang out with the wife on the weekends if I'm not here, because I'm here a lot on Saturday mornings. And then after her and I usually just hang out at the house. Like right now is good swimming pool weather. We'd be sitting out in the backyard at the pool, reading our newspapers, having a conversation, popping the grill on. I love environmental protection. It's what I've done for the past 32 years. I can walk out into a forest, people will see trees and bugs and go, ew, when they get bit by a mosquito. I see life. And it's been that way for me for years. But the people is what I enjoy most about the job. I remember years ago when I first started on this field, the permits that we issue go on people's deeds. And I had the single mother who was keeping her house through a divorce, had to put her son through college. And I didn't know it at the time. I was just doing my job. And I got her deed cleared up for her. And she was frustrated and, about that. Didn't think anything of it. It was normal course of duty. What struck me was when she called me up and she thanked me, and you could hear her getting choked up on the phone because she said, "You just made it possible for my son to go to college." Because when I cleared up her deed, she got an equity loan to put her son through school. And that's when I realized how much being, a rubber boot wearing swamp rat in his own way actually can, without even knowing it, make a real difference. And not just to the environment, but to people.
Lisa Normandin. I work for the town of Lunenburg in the position of administrative assistant to the building department and the zoning board of appeals. Well, day to day, it's usually picking up the calls that came in and scheduling inspections for whichever inspector is on duty that day. I'd like to get them lined up, return the calls, find out where the inspections are going to be, just return every phone call and get the customers taken care of as quickly as possible. And then we have a lot of drop-ins. I process all the wiring permits, plumbing permits, gas permits, the sprinkler permits. So you have a lot of people dropping by the office to fill out paperwork and building permit applications. A lot of questions, a lot of calls day to day. So it's a pretty busy place. So I usually go in and check the emails that came in. A lot of people can apply for their permits online. So that takes a little bit of, just looking to see what came in, getting that moving, opening the mail, answering the phone calls that came in over the weekend, because as you know, we're closed on Friday, so we get a lot of calls on Friday. Typically between 10 and 20 calls are waiting. Just try to get that buttoned up immediately. And then, I usually sit with the building inspector every morning, find out what he's doing, and then I can kind of plan around what the priorities are. So this morning, for instance, we have a house that, they were looking for an occupancy permit. And so, that was the first order of business. Actually, the house right behind you is getting ready for occupancy. And just make sure they have all the last minute details and data submitted. So, pulling the photo, the building file just to make sure everybody else is signed off and that we're ready to go. Of course, in the building department, I deal mostly with men, so, the contractors come in, I meet a lot of new people. As I say, it's, a lot of people filling out paperwork, a lot of new faces, a lot of familiar faces as well. But it's just, the satisfaction of knowing they got what they needed and can move on with their life, and it's different every day, so I like that. In the summertime, I like to spend a lot of time at the lake. It's just such a short season. I like to go home, unwind in my boat, after dinner. In the wintertime, I like to travel. I really like to travel to warm climates. My husband's work is so demanding in the summer, so in the wintertime, he gets laid off, so we like to travel.
Hi, my name is Tom Alonso, and I'm the current chairman of the Lunenburg Board of Selectmen. As chair of the Board of Selectmen, I am responsible for, most importantly, running the meetings that the Board of Selectmen have every Tuesday evening, setting the agenda along with the town manager with any agenda items that are either immediately important to the town or focusing on ongoing events and ongoing issues that the town is facing, whether they be legal or budgetary or planning. I feel my primary purpose as the Board of Selectmen is to keep the townspeople informed of things that are facing the town. Most especially would be to ensure that for annual and special town meetings, that the town meeting voters are fully informed about issues that they are going to be facing in placing their votes, both in May and any special town meeting that we have in the fall. Secondarily, I'd say that it is to have agenda items during the year that prepare us for those meetings, but also to keep on top of the responsibilities of running the town on a day-to-day basis, which we do as a board through the management of the town manager. So the board would come up with policies, and the town manager's role would be to implement those policies and to establish the day-to-day running of the town organization. Those are, I think, the two primary roles of the Board of Selectmen. So at the Board of Selectmen, we attend to many items, some that are internal to the town. As I said earlier, budget season is now coming up. It really goes in full swing from mid-January to May town meeting. So a lot of things that address budgets from departments are coming forward to us for review, for public comment, and for our decisions in some of those areas of staffing and other areas of building maintenance, building reuse, etc. Other items that come before the Board of Selectmen are ones that have legal responsibilities that lie with the Board of Selectmen, something such as dog hearings, some things such as recently Unitil wanting to remove or trim trees on a public way. Some of that responsibility fell to the Planning Board, some of that responsibility fell to the Board of Selectmen. So we handle hearings like that. We try to be, as best we can, a central point for information for other parts of the town, even those that we don't necessarily have direct responsibility for, so people can come at least voice their opinions. But I will say that one of the most important things is, while we encourage people to come and share their opinions, the Board of Selectmen is not an all-powerful board, as some people might think. We have our select area of responsibility and legal authority, but so do other elected and appointed boards, especially elected boards, such as the Planning Board and the School Committee and the Board of Health. These are among other boards, but all the elected boards have their own legal responsibility, and many times people come to us being the Board of Selectmen, about decisions or choices that other boards have made or are making that really are outside the purview. We don't mind hearing about them, but people should understand that we don't have the power to change those, that every board has its own sphere, and that's purposeful. We want there to be a distribution of power. It's one of the best things about a small town like ours and a town government like ours, is that many people have their own spheres of influence, their own area of authority and responsibility, and it's important for people to be directed to those, and we do the best we can when those situations do come up. I enjoy my work. I work as a director of support for a graphic arts server and integration company, so I enjoy doing that. And on personal time, I enjoy all things cultural. I'm an art major by education, so I enjoy the arts, both visual arts and performing arts. I enjoy theater immensely. I enjoy music. I'm, in somewhat of that stage of learning the piano on my own. So that's something that's been taking up my time. I wish I had more time to devote to that. And I also enjoy reading and keeping up with current events, both local and national. I will say, people ask all the time, do you enjoy doing it? And my answer is always, well, if I didn't enjoy it in some way, I wouldn't do it, because it's completely volunteer. But I also said that I do enjoy it, and I enjoy it in a different way that you might enjoy, skiing or, going to a sporting event. I enjoy it in the fact that I think it's important to be I think it's important for all of us, not just myself, but everybody, to be a responsible citizen. I think it's important to be involved and help shape the town. I think that it's good getting involved with different people, and one of the best parts of the job is meeting all the different people from different areas and neighborhoods in town. They all have their own story. They all have, their own interests, their own perspective, and it really broadens what you think about not only the town, but as the state as a whole, and just people in general. So it's rewarding meeting people, especially those people who are volunteering, and getting to know that they care about the same things you do, that you're all pulling for the same goals. And so in that regard, it is an enjoyable job, but probably more importantly, I would say it's a rewarding job. And I would encourage anybody who has any interest in serving the town in any regard, whether it's appointed positions, whether it's anything from conservation to the housing authority to council on aging to, there's a whole host of things. And I encourage people to go onto the town website and see all those appointed and elected positions and offer your services to town. You don't have to do it as a lifelong commitment, but 1 or 2 terms. And I promise you, taken in the right light and knowing what your responsibilities are, it is a very rewarding experience.
Hi, my name is Susan Doherty, and I am the director here at the Lunenburg Council on Aging, otherwise known as the Eagle House Senior Community Center. We are open here Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. with special hours on Wednesday evenings till 7:30. We have many great programs going on here. November is a very busy month for us. This is our newsletter. It's the 50 Plus Community News. We have all kinds of things. We have the town of Lunenburg property tax work-off. Applications will be available for people to pick up here at the Senior Center beginning November 1st. We have a monthly memory cafe, and we call it the Espresso Yourself at the Eagle House Memory Cafe, which is a place for people with Alzheimer's and dementia, along with their care partners, to go and feel comfortable. We have a great brunch. We have entertainment. We have crafts. We have music. And we'd love to see you up here for that. Something we're really proud of lately is we are becoming a dementia-friendly community in Lunenburg, which is now a statewide event. Many communities doing this. This is our brochure for Dementia-Friendly Lunenburg on how to make the businesses dementia-friendly in the town. And we just got a certificate of recognition from Executive Office of Elder Affairs and Mass Councils on Aging and the Alzheimer's Association as an emerging community in Lunenburg for dementia-friendly, which is really awesome. As a matter of fact, this afternoon we're having a dementia-friendly meeting where Patty Sullivan from MCOA will be coming and making an official presentation of the certificate to us. We have a van service that runs 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. If you are 60 years or older and a Lunenburg resident, you can take the van to doctor's appointments, hairdressing appointments, shopping, visit a friend, things like that, to the pharmacy. You just need to call Amanda at the front desk, 978-582-4166, and she can schedule a ride for you. We have a pool table. We have the pool players in there right now. We have a large outdoor recreation area with a bocce court, shuffleboard, horseshoes, community garden, open to anybody anytime during the day, even on the weekends. If we're not here and you have your own equipment, come on up. Please use our facility. Let's see, what else do we have? We have lunches every day. Food comes from Mock Nutrition, which is Montechusett Opportunity Council in Fitchburg, on Thursdays and Tuesdays. And then on Mondays and Wednesdays, we do our own lunch here. We do a soup and sandwich, and our kitchen staff does a great job with putting that all together. We just had a ham and bean supper fundraiser here, and that is put on by the Eagle House Supporters Incorporated. And they are our 501c3 fundraising group, nonprofit, and they raise money for things here at the Eagle House, such as furniture, computers, which is not in my municipal budget. And we really appreciate everything that they do for us. Some of the special events that we have an annual tea party put on by one of our Council on Aging board members, Sarah Grant. We just had that recently in September, and that raised over $2,500 to go towards dementia-friendly activities here at the Senior Center, and to be given to our Eagle House Supporters Incorporated. We have other special events, such as we have a classical pianist, Adam Bergeron, coming in November, and he does a beautiful job playing. He composes. He's a big hit. We do once a month lunch where I prepare it. It's called Good Eats, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. It all depends on your taste. So that's once a month. We do bingo on Thursdays. We have armchair travel once a month where we watch travel videos from different parts of the world. In November, we are just going to be doing an aerial view of New England. We have a large 65-inch TV that I just hook up my Amazon on, and we can go anywhere in the world that we want. Some of the other events are Stitch and Chat every Monday afternoon. People come up with their handwork, such as crocheting or knitting or quilting, and it's just a great place to gather and share ideas and just have a good time with everybody. Cribbage on Tuesday mornings, that's always fun. There's usually about 30 people here for that. There's Mahjong on Wednesdays. They go all day long. If you don't know how to play, come on up and they'll be more than happy to teach you how to do it. Monday afternoon is men's billiards. Tuesday afternoon is women's billiards. And Thursday afternoon, it's a mix. Everybody goes and takes a turn with the pool table. We have arts and crafts programs coming up. We are doing a 2-part mosaic tile class. We've also branched out to go to the Passio School. We do Zumba classes there. Carolyn Sargent is the Zumba instructor, and beginning in November, they'll be playing pickleball there. Carolyn will be running that program also. There's a creative writing class going on right now, a Nirvana class, which is a mix between Pilates and better breathing, which we got a $500 grant from the Central Mass Agency on Aging, so we were able to put that on. We have line dancing on Wednesday afternoons, but this is for advanced line dances. Let's see what else. We have coffee and donuts every Wednesday, except for the second Wednesday of the month, because that's when the Lions Club comes in and they do a great pancake breakfast for everyone. And all those funds raised there go to Lions Club charities.
Hi, I'm Steve Walker. I'm chair of the Public Access Cable Committee here in Lunenburg. What is it that we do? We actually right now provide 2 channels for public access, which is Channel 9, and government, which is Channel 8. You can see these on regular Comcast programming whenever you like. We record and broadcast events of interest to the town, such as meetings, sports, and special events. We also create public-produced programs and allow the public in general, if they have a need, to borrow one of our cameras to make a camera for an event that they want to cover. We also acquire and broadcast other public access programming, so we have a full schedule. The channels are the public channel, as I said, which is Channel 9, and that's the one where you will find a wide variety of programming, and the government one, which tends to be focused mainly on meetings. In the future, we're planning to add an educational channel, which is scheduled to come online sometime in the early part of next year. I took the October schedule and went through it to see what it is we do to give you an idea. So for meetings in October, we're presently scheduling the Board of Selectmen, the School Committee, the Finance Committee, the Planning Board, the Conservation Committee, and the Sewer Commission. In terms of the other channel, we do quite a bit of coverage of sports such as boys soccer, girls soccer, field hockey, and football. And for the football games, we like to use our multi-camera system that we recently put together. So we have 3 cameras running to pick up different aspects of the game. We also have locally produced programs. In particular, we have community news, which is done regularly, and Talking Baseball, which is also done regularly. You can find these on Channel 9. We do local events as well, where possible. For instance, Eagle House events, library events, the RAW program, which is done at the school, the homecoming parade and football game will be videoed, Knights Round Table, St. Boniface Mass, which is done weekly, and a variety of events at the Boys and Girls Club. This month, surprisingly, we shall be doing Halloween. Our funding all comes from franchise fees, which are paid by Comcast. This pays for operations, for the staff and videographers, and also pays for capital expenditures. The capital is for new and upgraded equipment, and we have reserves put on one side for our new studio once we get the space. Benefits to the town. This allows meetings and events to have a wider dissemination, gives the public the tools to create their own programming, and it is independently funded, so it's not coming out of your tax dollars. In the future, we're looking to move to high-definition television. All our equipment is high definition, but right now we're only on the cable system in standard definition. We're looking to add the educational channel next year, looking to create our new studio once we have the space, and when we have that, we'll be able to improve our meeting room coverage. So that's a snapshot of public access cable here in Lunenburg. Thank you.
My name is Mylene Malari, Treasurer Collector of the town of Lunenburg. I think this position is very challenging for a daily basis. There's not a day that you will not be busy. There's always something. So it's challenging at the same time. I think it's all mixed up with everything. It's fun, it's challenging, yeah. Well, I like dancing. I like dancing, I like playing games. I'm like a child outside the workstation. I'm slacking, I'm taking my time.